Otutize.
Wasn't that funny? Anyways, welcome to my YouTube channel. As usual, my name is Oluwakemi Osege. If you're new here, I wholeheartedly and warmly welcome you to my creative space. And if you're returning an existing subscriber, thank you for checking back in. So, why don't I show you the behind the scenes recording of how I decorated or created this Christmas cake, which recording have been sitting in my gallery for a year. Yes, a year. Anyway, this was a Christmas cake I made last year, and of course you can see my cakes were baked. I already baked them. You can see how luscious looking the flavors or the cake layers are looking. Yes, it's a variety of flavors made up of red velvet, vanilla, and of course cookies and cream. My cakes have already been baked, of course layered, filled with buttercream, my meringue-based buttercream by the way, and layered and trimmed, and of course ganache with milk chocolate ganache. And there they are, looking luscious or looking delicious in their ganache covered state. Yes, this is the pre-step before I begin to cover with fondant. Here now, I've now proceeded to covering with fondant. I used covering with red colored fondant. So I usually use Renshaw Extra fondant to cover my cakes. So with this covering, I use the paneling method. Yes, I usually use two methods to cover my cake. Depending on how I feel, I choose one to do. There is a drape over method, whereby you roll out a large piece of fondant and drape it over your cake, and of course smooth it out. But with the paneling method, rather than draping it over, you just roll out small you roll out fondant to cover different sides of your cake. You cover the top first and then the sides. With this one, I rolled out a small piece of fondant and covered the top first, cut off the excess, then rolled out a long strip, then wrapped around the sides of my cake. And then of course now here, as you can see, I'm smoothing out. You saw earlier where I cut off the lip, the excess, and from the top on the top of my cake after the wrap over. So what I'm doing now, I'm using my plastic smoother to smooth around the cake. And of course I will now, you'll see that I use my flexi smoother, which I've now picked up, the blue one, the blue or green, to cut off excess fondant from the edges of my cake. So in effect, trying to get a smooth surface, smooth finish around my cake, and of course a sharp edge as best as I can. And that's my cake all covered in red colored fondant. I've then proceeded to covering my cake drum. I don't, most of the time I do not usually cover my entire cake drum. So I use this method whereby I place my cake on the cake drum without it being covered, and then roll out a large piece of fondant, making sure it covers the size of my cake drum, and then using the size of my exact cake. That's if my cake is 10 inches, I use the cake drum of the size of that cake, 10 inches, to cut out a section from the middle of my rolled out strip of fondant to give me this a circle in the middle, so to speak, and then cut out one side of it. Then apply water onto my cake drum to serve as an adhesive, and then roll out the strip around my cake. Then where the two sides meet, I pinch, and then using my plastic smoother, then I smooth around it to make sure my fondant is well stuck to my cake drum, and then proceeding to cutting off the excess from around my cake drum. Here, no one knows the wiser, so you don't really know that my entire cake drum was covered. This way, you save time, and also you save a small portion of fondant. Anyways, this next process of the decorating segment is quite interesting. So I wanted to create or have an effect of snow on my cake drum, and I thought, how could I achieve it? So I thought, okay, I cut out kitchen foil, rolled it into balls, and with kitchen foil, that you can have some friction, some hard friction when you roll it out. And that's friction I was trying to use, or I used, to get impressions on my fondant covered cake drop to create the effect of snow. And it's not just the effect, no, it's not just simply the effect of snow, but simply the effect of snow that have been stamped upon, that have been stepped upon, that so many feet have gone over. So yes, so that was what I was going for. And I tell you, this exercise took a while. In fact, it took more time than I anticipated. It took a long time. In fact, I thought it was going to take me about 5 minutes, but it took me way longer than 5 minutes. I think it actually took me about 30 minutes. Well, I must confess, I might be exaggerating, but it took me way over 5 minutes. Way more than the time I anticipated it was going to take me. Anyway, again, it depended on the effect I was trying to go for. I wanted my snow imagination to be intensified, so I went over it a few times to ensure the intensity that I imagined in my head. So this segment of the video, on all of them anyway, but the timing here is actually cut off and again sped off. So the actual time it took for this is not properly indicated in this video here. Yeah, but it was a well worth it exercise that I undertook. Yeah, so in case you want to create a snow effect that is stamped on, here is the way to go. So after doing that, some fondant went over my cake drum again, and I had to trim off the excess, and that's my snow effect, all looking lush. And of course, that's my two cakes already covered in fondant. The smaller tier white, which I did off camera, and the bottom tier red, of course. So this is a 10-inch and a 7-inch tier, both at least 8 inches tall, all covered and looking lush. So what I'm now doing here now is now stacking my cake. So I'm beginning the process of stacking my cake. So what I tend to do while stacking my cake is that I measure out the area I need my top tier to sit. So I mark it out with the size of the cake drum, or the size of the cake that it is going to sit, on the cake. So this was a 7-inch cake that was going to sit on this 10 inches. So I got a 7-inch cake card and marked out the segments I needed it to sit on, well centered, and of course inserted my cake dowels. You saw there inside the parameters or area of the marking I did. And you saw I used my edible pen to mark out where I need to cut off. I cut off the excess and then reinserted my dowel. Then I've now inserted the central dowel. As you can see, I'm measuring it out to make sure that it is rightly centered, so my cake is not bent. Sometimes you're not that perfect, but at least I try to be. I aim for perfection. So here it is. I've marked out the center and inserted my central cake drum. My central cake dowel, because that is where my top cake tier cake is going to be inserted into. So it goes to the bottom of that cake, that is actually bottom, and then I applied royal icing for added stability and security. My royal icing, I make it myself. 2 ingredients: egg whites and of course ice and sugar. You saw now I've now lifted up my top tier, and then inserted it through that central cake dowel and place it on top of my cake. So here it is. My cake is well stacked. In the middle of that cake, there is a cake card. So there's a cake card that is on the bottom of that top tier. So don't misunderstand that it's only cake that is sitting there. No, there's a cake card that is sitting. So that cake card is sitting on top of the dowels. Yeah, so that's my cake stacked up. So I've then proceeded to create the decorations of my cake, and this I'm starting off with creating the Christmas trees. So I simply rolled a green colored fondant into a cone. So this fondant I added Tylose powder to help me to solidify the fondant a bit so it's not floppy. So, and then I inserted a wooden skewer into this cone to help me hold it properly whilst I'm doing what I'm doing, and of course to insert the cake. To insert it into the cake when it's completed. So using my scissors, I simply cut tiny snippets all around the cone up to the top to create a Christmas tree. And then I was creating two. I proceeded again to creating a second one. The same process. Roll out a fondant into a cone shape. Inserted my wooden skewer into the cone to enable me to hold it properly, and of course at the end of it all to insert it into the cake. Using my scissors, cut out tiny snippets until I get to the top of the cone. Usually I would use a small scissors, but I couldn't locate my small scissors on this day, so I had to make do with my large scissors. This process again, it took a while. Yes, it took longer than I anticipated. Oh my goodness, cake decorating is no joke. It's no walk in the park, I tell you. Anyway, at the end of the day, I loved the end process, and that's me now showing off my Christmas trees. Doesn't it look lovely? Let me know if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet. This is the perfect time for you to do so. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I will be happy you did so. Don't forget to hit that notification bell. This will alert you whenever I upload a new video. I'm trying to be better at uploading videos. I have quite a bit of time in my gallery, so I'm sure I'll get there. Anyway, I'll get there. Bear with me. Anyway, now I've now proceeded to the next set of decoration. Here again, I've rolled out a large piece of my green fondant using my plunger. I've got these holly leaves cutters in 3 different sizes, so I've just cut out lots and lots of holly leaves, you know, in 3 different sizes. I actually cut more than I needed because I only used 3 for this cake, but majority of them actually went into decorating the accompanying cupcakes. So what I did there now is, now on my holly leaves, I placed edible gold pearls in the center. Some of them a big one, some of them 3 edible gold pearls. Then using this foam, I placed these holly leaves in them to hold them to shape so that it doesn't dry flat. Yes, so it doesn't dry flat. So that's what I've done. Again, just simply proceeded to decorating and inserting edible gold pearls in my holly leaves. Now, then I've now proceeded to the more exciting parts with the actual decoration of the cake. So I have this mold which I got from Cake International. The last time I went to Cake International is a Karen Davis mold of a door. So before now, I used to create my doors freehand. So all the doors I've created in the previous year's Christmas cakes, I created them freehand, and it can take a while. But this mold actually made it easier. You know, it made it easier because once you find your way around actually using the mold, you know, I just simply roll out a piece of fondant over the mold, and then smooth it, make sure that it is inside the mold, and then gently take it out of take my fondant out of the mold, and I have my dough. So as you saw there, I steamed my cake to allow some moisture around my cake so that when I'm applying all these fondant decorations onto it, they stick. That's the steam serve as an adhesive. So I placed my dough. As you can see, I've then used the other mold, which is the ice mold, to create more ice strips so that I can place it on the top of my bottom tier to create the effect of icing drops or icicles, whatever that is. Pardon me if I'm not giving it the right name, but you know the ice that drops on the roofs when it's snowing. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to create. Anyway, so I just simply create as many as enough to go around the bottom tier of my cake. Yes, so that's what the cake is looking at now, like right now, using my hand now to just make sure that they're all properly in place. And then I've got this very beautiful mold as well, unique so to speak. I don't really remember where I got it from. So it has two sizes of a unique design. Yes, so I've now created the molds. That's it. So the bigger one, the bigger size, I'm placing it as a border around the bottom tier of my cake. It is actually, that design is actually very, very pretty, very beautiful. So, and then proceeded again to use the smaller size of that same design for the top tier of my cake. This may look easy, but it wasn't easy, because you have to get the fondant into the crannies and corners of that mold design and then take it out gently. And then, of course, you have to recreate that process to the number of times you have to get out the number of molds or designs to cover around the cake. So it took a while. I'm not exaggerating. Yes, and here it is, finished cake. So the rest of the decoration I did off camera. They were not really much. The major ones are you've just seen them on the camera. So I created the cake topper using my Cricut machine in Merry Christmas off camera, and then I because I was running late, I had to take the cake along and then finish off the decoration there by placing all the decorations I created whilst at the venue. So as you see, what I just simply did was add white edible pearls around the bottom tier of my cake, just not to leave it plain. And of course, the top tier, I added snowflakes, more in the front side, and of course strategically around the cake, around the top tier cake. And then I've added strips around my cake drum, as you can see, the red one, and then painted my door gold and added 3 holly leaves around the door. You can see only 3 holly leaves I used. The rest of the holly leaves, I placed them on the cupcakes, which you're going to see shortly. And yes, the cupcakes had some holly leaves on it, and most of the other ones, the rest of it were basically wasted, so to speak. So let me know what you think. Do you like my cake? Don't forget to leave me a comment. Let me know what your thoughts are. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and drop me a comment. Now see you in my next video. Bye for now.